Hi.
Good evening.
You can touch Shani anytime. It doesn't matter day or night. Shani, give me your light and love. We're coming on without a doubt. There's nothing you can't talk about. Shani, get ready to start the show. You're with Shawnee and you know we're gonna talk. Ordinary people and extraordinary God. Check the reference in Ephesians 5. We walking in the light and we're living in love. You know with Shawnee we gon' keep it intact. Cause every Monday got it coming, yeah, we coming right back. So act like you know we get it on and poppin' at the Shawnee Show. You can talk to Shawnee anytime. It doesn't matter day or night. Shawnee, we give you light and love. We're coming on without a doubt. There's nothing you can't talk about with Shani.
Welcome to another episode of the Sharing with Shani Show. I am your host, Shani. Mika is in the building. Sharon is in the building. What's up, Mika? You're on mute.
It's like delayed. What's good? Tapped it. That was too.
Tap. What's up? How you living, young?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. You know, it's Holy Week.
Is it?
Yes.
We need some more holy over here.
You do.
It's like a freaky Monday. It was a very weird Monday.
It was a weird Monday for me as well, but yeah. I like your Cash App. Say hi, yeah. Is it Hiya? Is it just say hi?
Hi.
Oh,
Halo
hi.
Academy Inc. Hi.
I get it. Got it.
Whether you
Don't
pronounce it hi or hey, say it. It's the same thing.
Say. Tell us about Halo Academy Inc. 30 seconds. Elevator pitch.
Halo
Somebody got
Academy
$10,000 for your academy right now. They want to know
Academy
what you do.
Yeah, it's a local nonprofit serving Prince William County and beyond of Northern Virginia. We aim to provide access for resources and supplies of the like for underserved communities.
Thank you.
I've been working on that. It changes a lot. I'm trying to keep it, but I think it should change. Figure out what works best.
And any upcoming events?
Yeah, so we have our digital interactive, I should say virtual interactive gardening camp this week and next week. It's a beta, right? It's in beta, trying to fill it out, see how it will work for the summer. We're teaching children, actually families, it's not just children, but we're encouraging families to come out and learn how to grow their own food, starting with manageable produce. So
Okay.
It's not farming, but we are learning how to complement our, our fridges, pantries, or whatever, with more fresh, organically grown produce. So things where you know where it started and how it's going to end.
I love it. And for those that may not know, can you get an organic seed, or is the organic term comes from how you cultivate the ground, right?
Both. So if you're cultivating the ground organically and you're growing organic produce, is going to produce organic seed.
Okay. Thank you.
So there is or are organic seeds. That's all we deal with. And then we make sure we continue that in the way that we care for the seed that we put into the ground. So the ground that it goes into is already organically cared for, and then we just continue it.
Okay. Got it. Well, I'm speaking it into existence.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna call you with a big donation because
Thank you.
they're like, this is close to my heart.
I know it exists. Is a lot. Sometimes I feel a little restricted by the area that we're in. You know, we're close to DC, but not close enough to garner the attention of people. They don't consider a suburb, you know, in need, but
Yeah.
they
Especially
do their research. So
yeah, especially Prince William County. Like they'll sit there, oh, but there's need everywhere.
absolutely.
Shoot, PG County is the fourth richest Black county in the country,
Mm-hmm.
and they need help there too.
Right. I know. I know. So, you know, I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Spotlight.
So I'm gonna tell you, you know, I mean, all of your whispers are amazing, but I don't know, last week's whisper, I mean, keep the creator in the room, yeah. Or
let the creator stay in the room. Leave the creator in the room. But, you know.
Leave the creator in the room.
Mm-hmm.
I said, don't go anywhere. I was like, Jacob, you're not leaving.
Hey, you gotta be like that sometime, right?
You gotta be like that. Don't you leave.
You stay right on here.
You stay right there.
Yeah, it has to be that way. I think for me, and I've shared before, these whispers, I've always felt like they get dropped in my spirit. You know, it'll be like ding dong, here you go. That's how I feel. Very, very rarely, I feel like I can count on less than one hand where I've had it before the show, right? And in those occasions, or on those occasions, yeah, it has been because it's something that I've been praying about, and I've been like meditating on it. And so then it, you know, dropped a little bit early because maybe I needed to do something before I shared it with the rest of the world. But the whispers really are personal. They're intimate. So this is me being intimate with y'all. And that's real. I don't know any other way to say it. But last week's, you know, leave the creator in the room. Let the creator stay in the room. It's definitely coming from a place of personal experience. I'm at a place where he got to stay there. Like,
right.
Don't you? If anybody is gonna leave, it's not gonna be you. You know what
right.
I'm saying? Like, I'll leave before I let you leave, or I don't know how that's gonna work. But you just can't go nowhere. I need you to sit on down right there. Take
just take
a squat.
And it just reminds me of all the times where, you know, like when you go back to scripture,
Hold on, Sharon, you can come off mute. Please join us. I see.
You see me struggling right now. I'm like,
I told her that though. I told her it's like double dutch. You gotta jump in.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. We'll go walk around a little bit, but I know you'll be there when I come right back in this room.
I mean, exactly.
Yeah, I just need you to be there. I need you to be there.
Yes.
Y'all not gonna make me emotional tonight, but it's been rough. It's been really rough. It has been tough. It has been challenging. You know, when I don't know. Am I the only? When I was a child, I remember the church that I was coming up in. My pastor was very, you know, like he was very futuristic in his thinking. It was and when I say growing up, I literally mean growing up. I started at that church when I was like 7.5, maybe 7, I think, and all the way up, you know, to a teenager, and then we moved down here to Virginia. But that pastor that I had was like the first pastor to talk about electric foods, you know, fasting and detoxing and just kind of cultivating the mind, body, spiritual experience and stuff like that. And so I consider the teachings that I got, like I hold a special space in my heart. But he wasn't, I said all that to say, like, he was very real to me, very grounded, and he didn't put on a whole lot of airs. Every now and then we would have a visitor, visiting minister or something like that. But I remember this one time we had a prophetess come in. Actually, it was a prophet, and then the second time it was a prophetess. And I remember as a child, they were prophesying over people. He didn't allow that much, right? He'd be a little skeptical, like, hold on now. I don't remember getting that drop in my spirit that you was coming today. So, but I value that because you got to protect your flock too. There are false prophets. But long story short is, I remember as a child wanting somebody to prophesy over me, like this great prophecy, like, oh, you're gonna be great and on this day and that and all of that stuff. And then, like, when it came, and I didn't really want to hear it. So, I don't know if that's just me, right? But I remember the first time it did happen, it was like, you're gonna be somebody, but the in between of that now to being somebody was like quite the journey. And I was like, yeah, that ain't what I heard when I was like 10. I don't remember. That's not how the other girl had got prophesied over. What, Lord, what did I do? Why my journey got to be so wretched and rough terrain? I need
I feel like I'm in good
four-wheel drive.
Woo, I'm in good company.
I mean, that's how I felt. I was like, I thought we could cruise in a luxury car. You like, nah, you need the all-terrain wheels for where you going.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Bumpy ride.
Thank you, Lord. Right, there you go. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, please buckle your seatbelts. This ride, you may experience severe turbulence. Right? That's how I've been feeling. But lately it's just like, whew, I've had to do a whole lot of that. And then my pastor just really confirmed some stuff. I'm not going to share everything that we talked about, but she confirmed some stuff like, you are at the point where you're going to need some thick skin. I was like, I'm not done yet? When, Lord? Right? Like, right. That's all I keep saying. It's just, when? Why? What did I do? And because, I'm transparent, and that is how I actually feel. Just, when, Lord? Yes. She said it, I received it with a smile, and on the inside I was like, oh, there we go again. That's not the one I was looking for. Yeah. But so, let the creator stay in the room is, yeah, right? It's a PSA. It's a public service announcement.
Absolutely.
You can't, depending on who you are and where you are in your life right now, your calling, if you are aligned in your mission from the creator, you've absolutely got to let them stay, because it's about to get bumpy. None of us, regardless of what I heard when I was 10 and then again later on, and that wasn't for me, that was for somebody else. It sounded very glamorous, I just was like, that's that right there. Yeah, somebody need to come tell me that, and they didn't. And I am okay with it, but because I know what I know everybody's journey doesn't look as good as it sounds. And the only way to make it through is if you request that he stays. If you dismiss him, you're not gonna make it.
So why didn't you tell me you're just gonna minister to me on this show tonight?
I didn't.
Because I already wrote down for myself, gonna need some thick skin, because I'm that take it personal girl.
Yeah.
6 years old, still taking stuff personally.
Yeah.
I needed that reminder.
Rewind that. You what? How old?
I know, right?
56. We'll be 57 in July.
See, this is why I love us.
I know, right? Absolutely.
Yes. Like, come on now. So I have been on this journey of like rediscovery, Mika, like since like 2017, just on this whole, you know, of of a marriage ending, and really and going to therapy, finding a Black woman therapist, and trying to get my life back, because it was like I'm tired of meeting the same person in with a different name.
Mm-hmm.
But this week, in following the whisper, like I had to really have a moment to myself where I've been dimming my light, which is really crazy, because people would think, but Shani, you have great self-esteem, and that's my mother. My mother did a great job with affirming me and building me up and thinking I could do anything, right? So, but at the same time, I've been playing small around the people around me.
Okay.
And at first I thought it was just in like romantic relationships and marriages, but no, I've been doing that with friends and family too.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where, like, why? Like, I had to, that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate quote. I used to make my kids recite that every day before they went to school, my older two, right? But I had to recite it my daggone self, because I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I allowing myself to dim myself? Like, I went back like 13, 14 years of decisions that I made because I was playing small. So someone else wouldn't feel bad.
Hold on, got my pen again.
What? I'm not doing that anymore. Because it was by Thursday, so the creator stayed in the room from Monday 9 p.m. He's still in the room, right? And like Thursday night, that's when I had my epiphany. He was like, "Stop playing small, because you're about to go to another. You're about to go. I'm increasing your territory. You pray that prayer. Stop playing small." And when I was 9, I heard God say I was going to do great things. So, and the reason why it's like, and so this was 1985, right? The Color Purple came out in 1985, right? And my mother wouldn't let me see The Color Purple because she had read the book, and she was like, "Oh no, you were too young," right? So when it finally got on HBO in 1987, I found the key. I'm telling my whole age. We had a key to the movie channel on our cable, right? And if you turned the key to the left, all the cable channels would appear. We lived in the country. That's how they was doing it. And I found the key in my mother's jewelry box. And my mother used to work late. And this particular day, she had a conference. So she didn't get back till late, right? And I was a latchkey kid. Found the key, watched Color Purple, shouldn't have been watching it. I was like 11, 12 years old. But Celie spoke to me when she kept talking to God, dear God. I used to do that. I used to say, I didn't write letters to God, but when I would walk from my house to my grandmother's house, I would say, "Dear God." That's how I would talk to God. And I clearly, this is what I really didn't question. I knew that I heard God's voice at like 9 or 10 years old, that I was going to do great things. And I have done some really great things in the name of the Lord, but not clearly what I was supposed to do, because I was dimming my light. So
we're, as African Americans and as African American women, we are groomed for that from birth, to play it small. So it's a lot of unlearning. And I talk about modesty versus humility a lot here too, because I believe in it. You don't. I. It is okay to be modest, but I am very clear on the difference in the two words. And I have a business mentor, slash, friend, buddy, whatever you want to call him. I met him actually in a Facebook group, but he's been really helpful in my journey. But there is a word that he had used. I guess this was in like 2014. Disruptor. He had used that word with me in 2014, and I remember when I heard it, he didn't even have to explain it. Like, I immediately knew what it meant. He was helping me, figure out the brand of my business. And this is the juice bar because I have three now. So that was my first endeavor. And he was like, "So you want to be a disruptor?" And then he just like paused, and I was like, "Absolutely, I do." Right? And so, in understanding what disruptor means, and I'm very big on words, and understanding. I need the definition. I need to be able to use it. I need to be able to feel it. And I choose wisely. So the word disruptor is important, and is even more important when you're talking about, women in spaces, because we don't often feel empowered enough. And every other adjective you can throw in there, right? Empowered, supported, encouraged. The motivation is probably there, but there are so many things that we lack. And it's just so easy for us to slump into, the homeostasis that someone else has set for us.
Right.
And so I took charge when he said be a disruptor, and I was like, yes. But the important thing to know, this is why education is important. And I don't mean, but behind four walls. You don't need to go to a school or, secondary education to be educated, right? Do
Right.
it yourself. You can absolutely do it yourself. It's important to be educated so that you understand where you can do these things, right? How that just the that you can,
Yep.
knowing your rights. You know what I'm saying? Just knowing your
Mm-hmm.
rights, knowing the rules, knowing the loopholes, all this stuff is really important if you're gonna be a disruptor. Because and I absolutely want to be that. I feel like I am that. Like I said, I took charge with that, and so there is no time to play it small. Who got time for that?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Women need to take up space.
We do.
Stop slumping into the shadows.
Yep.
And now you slump very intentionally,
Yeah.
right? Fix your posture. Let's go. Exactly.
So what's our whisper for this week?
Yeah, no, KNOW. Know your inheritance.
Mm.
Know your inheritance.
I like that. Mm-hmm.
You want to know why you should know it? Because if you
Yes.
don't know it, like Jacob, somebody can trick you out of it. You don't want that to happen.
Mm.
It doesn't need to happen. But also, so as a person that works with young people and vividly remembering the earlier parts of my youth, I still consider myself a youth. I'm not old yet. I remember how easy it was, for someone else to tell me like what I could and could not do as far as being a child of God. And I used to get irritated when people would say, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't pray like that. You can't ask for that." Like, I used to get bothered enough that I would just go pick up my Bible and be like, "Okay, whatever. That can't be right," because it was just contradicting what I would hear every Sunday and whatever other day, we were there at church. And so I think that the enemy loves, right, just ignorance. He thrives in ignorance. And when you don't know, when you don't bother to even read just a little bit, he got you.
Yeah.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
like I was that child holding my parents to what they said. my stepdad used to get a kick out of it. I know I got on his nerves, but he loved it because I wanted to be a lawyer. And he was like, you're gonna be an excellent lawyer. Don't do that here, but you're gonna be an excellent lawyer. I would definitely be like, mm-mm. 'Cause remember that time you told me if I did this, right, I was safe. And this, you put me on punishment that don't really sound like I'm safe. I did it. I did what you told me to do. And he would be like, I said that you did it on this day at this time. And this was what we discussed. And this is what came out of that discussion. And he used to just like stare at me and be like, all right, you got me. But when you can do that, right? Like when you can, and the creator loves that, right? Remind him of his words. Not that he forgot, but it's showing that you know it. You know, like you're spending time with him in his word, and you're just like, okay, Lord, you told me if. What'd you say? You prayed for to enlarge your territory, right? So like when I'm confused sometimes and I just be like, where I'll be looking around me sometimes because I prayed for something and I just didn't see it yet. And so I just kind of go back to him and I'd be like, all right, Lord, you said if I if in everything I do I put the kingdom first, I don't have to, like, I don't need for anything.
Right.
I'm a faithful tithe giver. I'm obedient over sacrifice. I also sacrifice. I've been at church. I ain't leave. You can go on all my social media all the way back. Like I've been an upstanding Christian. There's no secret tapes. You know what I'm saying? Like, Lord, I've been here. I've been doing it. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Right? That moves him. But if I don't know what he told me, if I don't know what my inheritance is, if I don't know what the promises of the Creator are, then I don't really have anything to hold on to. And then, it'll be easy for me to get depressed and hopeless because I might feel like the enemy won. So, know your inheritance. And we'll move that to the physical realm. If you inherited something and you didn't ask that lawyer that read the will, let me get a copy of all those details. Your relatives will trick you out of it too. They'll be like, grandma didn't leave you the house. She just left you the car.
Right.
You everything. Grandma said you're in charge of the whole estate. But you don't know because you don't know your inheritance. So, know it.
Amen.
Know it.
Let me formally introduce Miss Sharon Finney. So okay. Mika, I don't know if you know this, but I've been like Facebook stalking, friending Sharon for like at least 4 years. At least. It could be longer than that, but we're just gonna keep it at 4. We're gonna cap it at 4. But former Army veteran. She is a founding her company, Rose of Sharon. I like how people be using their name. I love the wordplay, right? Author, speaker, elder, preacher, marriage counselor. So y'all can do some business together or something. Her and her husband, she has grown children, grandmother, all that good stuff. Got this book. We're gonna give away the book, Encounters with God. So tonight we were supposed to talk about testimony time, which, we still gonna talk about it. But without further ado, I'd like to welcome Sharon Finney to the show tonight. Finally, every time she would comment on my post, Mika, I'd be like, well, when are you coming on the show? I'm like, okay, you thought that was funny, no, but when are you coming on the show?
For real, don't stop playing. Come on.
And finally, she's here. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me. Exciting to be here. Very excited to be here.
So, Sharon, tell us a little bit about yourself in your own words.
A little about myself in my own words. Well, you've captured a few tidbits, but I'm going to use a phrase that a friend used for me. You said in my words, so it's coming out of my mouth.
Yes.
But she called me the comeback queen.
Mm.
In 2002, one of my good girlfriends from my college days, she said I was the comeback queen. I was deployed. I was away from my babies. I was a single mom at the time. Life was doing some things, but thanks be to God, I'm still here. In 2002, I had a whole lot of questions about what was going on, why it was going on, what was going to happen next, but she reminded me who I was, the comeback queen. So, in a nutshell, many of my testimonies that are in the different books, various anthologies, my memoir, Sweet Magnolia, and some of what I've even shared in Encounters with God, 10 Women, 10 Testimonies, coming back from situations that either could have taken me out, probably should have taken me out, choices that were made, things that I had nothing to do with, but was inflicted upon me. So I am the comeback queen. And as Mika spoke about knowing your inheritance, and Shani, as you spoke of Rose of Sharon Publishing, my grandmother, when my mother named me Sharon, she started calling me her Rose of Sharon. And as I began to walk into this newness of trying to be a publishing company, my daughter helped me come up with the name. And she says, Mommy, you should go with Rose of Sharon. And just hearing that word inheritance, my grandmother, my mother, me, my daughter, it's an inheritance. So I just bless God for, I'm learning to bless him for the things that I've been through, the things that I didn't understand, the things that have built my testimony, and for allowing me to share it through writing. As I started onto this author journey, the words I put on my very first page, I guess it was a website. I didn't know what I was doing trying to make a website. I put to encourage and inspire through writing for growth and healing.
Mm.
And I'm so glad that even though I didn't understand the wait, I needed to wait so that my writing would be for healing, not for damaging, not for bashing, not for attacking because of the things that I went through. Because that's not the direction that God wanted to take me in as I shared my journey, as I shared my experiences. I had to reach out to a friend today who was dealing with some things that reminded me of 20 years ago. And I said, wow, another opportunity to dig down into what I've been through to help her get through. She's right now in 2022, where I was in 1999.
Yeah.
You know, and I just wandered off. I was supposed to just give a little synopsis.
No,
but
you fine.
This is who Sharon Finney is. This is who I am. I'm transparent, sometimes to a fault.
Hey.
But that's who I am.
Right. Then I get every week I'm told by somebody that don't even know me. You just share so much. You just overshare. You're not worried about that?
I've heard that before.
Listen, I admitted, okay, I put on Facebook yesterday, Mika, I know you don't stay on Facebook that much, but I put on Facebook that I was yesterday when I learned that Hosanna meant save us.
Oh, no,
right?
I did see that one. I did see that.
And do you know somebody inboxed me and said, you're not embarrassed by that? No, I'm not.
I know.
I know.
Why I know everything. I'm sorry.
No.
Why is it because you're a minister? You're supposed to know that? Is that what
that is? That's what. Please stop.
Oh, no.
Church guilt. It's okay. No,
so,
it's not okay, but for you, Shani, like, don't worry about it.
I know. I can't. I'm like, I don't even know you, but.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am not embarrassed. I was yesterday years old when I found that out.
I do that with my daughter. I feel like there was a parenting lesson that was missed, you know, if someone is comfortable to do that. But I have those talks with my daughter. Your children are really, I know it's a developmental stage that she's at, you know, when she feels like she knows something and an older person doesn't know, and she'd be like, you didn't know that? And I'd be like, and there's a lot of things that you don't know, and they do. And that's okay because we can learn from each other regardless of age, you
That's
know, race, gender, we all have something to learn. I said, I learn from you every day, and you're my daughter. And she was
Right.
like, really?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do not know everything. I know I'm your mama and you think I am the world, but I'm not. I promise you, I'm not. And I can learn from you. But we don't want to make people feel bad, right?
mm,
If your tone implies that I should know that, and who set that parameter?
Right.
You know,
Right.
she was just like, I never thought about it like that. I said, so when someone shares something that they learned, you know, like be as excited for them as you want your dad and I to be for you when you come home and be like, guess what I found out?
Right.
She really wants us to be like, what was it?
Uh,
Right? Just do that. Even if you know it, like don't pop their bubble either. They're like, oh, I already knew that. Don't do that. Just
oh,
support your friend.
exactly. Right. Exactly.
Just be like, oh, good for you. That's great.
And
oh,
I always look at it like, now if I did know that, and if I do appear or present like I know everything, there would be a problem with that too. So I'm gonna just be me, right?
Right.
I did not know. But you know, one of the things I love about what you said, Sharon, was the fact that, you know, you just had to encourage someone that's going through the exact same thing you went through 20 years ago. And that's the only way I know how to encourage and teach. I always teach from the perspective of, trust me when I tell you, I know these things, right? So I have a friend that always says, you know, a little bit about everything, right? Especially, and I do, and because of some bad choices, some good choices, but especially, and this was all around the IRS. Okay, so back in my 20s, I'm just gonna tell it. I was so depressed and so ignorant that I did not open the mail when the IRS would send me letters, right? And till this day, her name was Miss Wilson. That was the IRS operator that I got when I called. She acted like she was my auntie, y'all, because when they garnished my daggone, when they did something to, like, I don't know, y'all probably were much better with your finances than I was, but I got paid. My direct deposit was pending, but my balance said zero, right?
oh,
And when I would click on I had Bank of America at the time, and I would click on for more info, and it said call this number. It had a number for me to call, right?
wow.
So it was Bank of America recovery systems, right?
Uh-oh.
And they said, the IRS has seized your account. You have to call them. He gives me the number. Miss Wilson on the phone, right? This is 2000. Sharon, this was 2002. You was deployed, and I was dealing with the IRS in Largo. Miss Wilson was like, she said, you crying now, but we sent you letters for the past 3 years. Right? 3 years they was trying to contact me, right? And I said, but I didn't have any money to pay. She says, the IRS, baby, she called me baby. She said, we would have just took $5 from you and you wouldn't be having this problem, right? I said, but I gotta pay daycare. Like, I was a single parent. I had to pay, and I was always robbing Peter to pay Paul back then, right? And I remember, so I went through that. So, but in 2009, when my girlfriend started getting I said, you better open the letter. I'm telling you what I know.
Let me help somebody.
I said, you better open the letter and just call them. Hopefully you get Miss Wilson, and you only gotta pay $5 a month, right? She's like, I can do a little bit more than $5. I said, I'm just trying to tell you, just open the letter.
Letter and call the people.
And at that moment, she said, Shani, you know a little bit about everything. I was like, yeah. Not because I want to. Just trust me when I tell you.
Yes, indeed. Oh my goodness.
So we talk about testimony time, and one of my favorite scriptures is we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the power of our testimony. And I started reading your chapter in this book, and the 10, not just yours, but the 10 testimonies. But you wrote in here, I have it because I wanted to make sure that I did not mess up your words. But you said, after talking about your parents losing two children, and the irony of having 3 daughters, all premature, and you're the only one that survived. And you said, why was I the survivor out of 3 premature baby girls born to the same parents? This is a burden I would carry into adulthood. And then you go on to say, in my walk with Christ, I have learned the importance of fulfilling my destiny according to God's will and not mine. And I know it sounds cliche, but God kept me here for a reason. So I guess my question, Sharon, is, are you still trying to figure out the reason, or do you understand?
I think that there is still some figuring out going on. But at the same time, what I do know now, I'm trying to walk in it. Trying to be intentional in walking in it. Because, something was said earlier about, what is it? Making ourselves small, playing small so someone else doesn't feel bad. I've been that person more than once. I know that I've been that person time and time again, not wanting somebody to feel bad, not wanting anyone to feel overshadowed, or feeling like, well, maybe I shouldn't be the one because she could do a little bit better than I can, little insecurities. But I've come to realize that when I sit on the things that I know God told me to do, I'm missing out so much and not fulfilling what He's intended. He kept me here for a reason.
Absolutely.
I'm here for a reason. I'm truly here for a reason. And, as I talked about that burden of being the one surviving preemie, I thought about me being born in the 60s and, whatever resources were not available. And my sisters came years later, and, how come they couldn't make it or what have you. But I finally got into, and you were mentioning therapy and things. I took some classes in which led us to the marital counseling and all of that. But while I was in those classes and we're simulating being in that counseling setting, that's when I was able to unpack that and realize that that burden was there. I didn't realize how I was carrying that. So being in the classroom kind of gave me that therapy that I needed, the release that I needed to realize, what that whole thing that I'd been carrying had done to me as a person. I was still struggling with that. Let me see, I finished that program in 2012. So just 10 years ago. I was just at that place of realizing what being the only surviving preemie of my family had done to me. So I had no idea the need that I was dealing with. I'm thinking I'm going to get this experience so I can help somebody. I got helped right there. When I told you we were walking down the hall, me and my classmates just walking down the hall, everybody had to go to the bathroom and just cry. We just walking and crying, come back and, continue to simulate that counseling. But we were truly unpacking some things. So I really learned so much, and it helped me to really embrace when you sit with someone and allow them to unpack their baggage. So I just ask God to continue to use me in a way that will glorify Him and help somebody so that they're not holding and carrying and feeling like they can't be transparent. Now, the other side of that coin is to be prayerful, because some people will not use what you share in the appropriate way. So I've had to learn that sometimes the oversharing, there's a time and a place. Everything. I'm seeking greater discernment, asking the Lord to help me to better discern, so I know when, know what, so I know who, so I know, even if I don't know the why, show me who.
Right. Yeah.
And like that situation that, someone shared today, and I was able to reach her. I had no idea that was coming. I bless God that He placed me there, that I could minister to her and not say, oh, so-and-so, because he ain't worth a doggone anyway. No, that's not what we're doing.
Right.
That's not what we're doing.
I definitely understand that, because I don't feel like I share, like I definitely say, okay, God, what do you want me to say? Like, I'm always in that, like, what do I say now? Right. So it's all because I don't want what I have to say to fall on deaf ears. I want it to be received.
Yeah.
Right. Just like I receive wisdom from people, because I was talking to my pastor today. And she's like, I don't want to be critical. I was just and I said, oh no, I need you to be critical, because you remember when I first started this show, and I don't know, because I think you did. I don't think you was on the phone that night. This is when we were still on the radio. Mm-hmm. This is probably like show number 3. And my pastor, after the show, my pastor called me and asked me, did I discern the guests that came on the show first, right? Did I pray about who was coming on the show? Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, well, sometimes. She said, oh no, you got to do that all the time, because that lady she did not belong on the show. And at one point, and God has always protected me from false teaching, false prophets, false teaching, always, right? I remember we had this, me and my girlfriend, my best friend from 2nd grade, were kind of like having this, like, our faith walk was kind of like at the same time at one point. And we were both like searching and learning, and we're craving for just more. Like, we needed more than what we were getting on a Wednesday night Bible study. So she found this prophetic worship class that we could take together on Saturdays for 6 weeks. And she said, Shani, you would love it. Da-da-da. I said, okay. And the lady greeted us into her classroom, and she grabbed me by the hand and she said, your mother never loved you. And I took my hand back and laid on the mat and went to sleep. Now, to my defense, I had 2 children under the age of 2 at home. Mm-hmm. It was the best sleep ever, right? But I felt that was in the practical sense, but I felt like in the spiritual, God protected me, because I knew that was a lie. The devil is a lie. Like, you're not gonna tell me that my mother didn't love me. Mm-hmm. Everybody that know or knew my mom would have said, Shani, you better not believe that lady, right? So God's always been protecting me. So when the lady on the radio, do you remember this, Mika? Do you remember her?
No,
when the lady on the radio,
do the whisper, and I would, because I was in school, I had to go.
Yeah, you was out. You did the whisper and you was out. That lady on the radio. So this is 6 years ago, and she started talking, and then she said something about, and the heavens opened up, and everybody was swept up in a cloud, and the money started falling out. And then she was telling people where to send money to her. I said, this is not that type of show. And I don't know what happened afterwards, but my best friend said, yeah, you checked out around 8:23, because all you kept saying was, this is before video, oh, okay. I was like, oh, like the whole interview was, oh, okay. Like, I was like, I don't know what that lady was talking about. Then she started talking in tongues, and I just thought that when you speak in tongues, that there needs to be somebody to interpret, and I knew that wasn't my ministry. So I was so confused. Nevertheless, where was I? I just lost my train of thought. Oh, my pastor. So she was saying how I needed to have discernment. So she was just giving me some godly counsel and wisdom today. And I was like, no, I receive it. She said, I don't want to be critical. No, because there's a difference between critical and criticism and
Critique.
and godly counsel. Like, I think we should all be subject to that.
Well, some of us don't want to be told about ourselves, so
Oh,
Well,
we leave the church behind that. So I think sometimes, our pastors are, they get triggered. They got a little PTSD.
I get it.
It's a lot of red tape. I really do pray that ain't never my calling.
Exactly.
Like, I promise you, they got to deal with
Right.
a lot. You tell somebody something, and next thing you know, they leave and they take a whole bunch of people with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sharon, Rose of Sharon Publishing. Talk about it. Like, what prompted you to start it?
Funny story. Years ago, when I said I wanted to write a book, didn't know what I was going to write, but I made a cover, and that cover said, "Because God said it," which is what my chapter is named in Encounters with God. And I put a publishing company, but I didn't really feel like that was the name. And why I put that, I'm not even sure, but I just picked the name and put it on the top of that cover. And I didn't do anything with it. That was probably like 2006, 7, maybe 2008, somewhere up in there. But when I finally started writing, and then this particular book was spoken to me, God gave this to me going right into the pandemic. I was home wasn't even a full month yet, but my husband and I have been praying and fasting, and the words "an encounter with God" is what was dropped in my spirit, with instructions to reach out to people and see if they could write about it. And the people that did respond, I said, okay, let me put something together, because there was no plan. It just came like that.
Mm-hmm.
So as I began to get responses, I drafted up an agreement and gave them some guidance and said, this is what I'm looking to do. And that's when it became Encounters with God, 10 Women, 10 Testimonies, because I got 9 positive responses and then plus me. So as we continue to work through it, I had my self-publishing experience from Sweet Magnolia, which is the memoir about my mother. I felt led to launch the publishing company at that point. Now, there are some things I was figuring out along the way, just like when I published Sweet Magnolia, things I was figuring out along the way. But as a self-published project, I figured somebody else is going to want some assistance to get their work published. And then I reflected on that cover, because when I started writing my chapter, I didn't have a name yet. And somewhere along the way, as the other chapters started coming in, that's when I found that cover that I typed up years ago.
Wow.
Incorporated into this book. So I feel like I was led to that and reminded that I had a desire to possibly start a publishing company. Again, I put it on that paper, but knew nothing. I don't think I really knew self-publishing was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of those things that I typed up, set it off to the side, stumbled upon it again. So when I shared with the co-authors what I had found and said, this is what I'm going to name my chapter, we're all in awe, like, wow, this is nothing but God. So I really feel like the Lord led me to that during the pandemic, while I was not dealing with the 90-minute commute each way, while I was, here in the comfort of my home and able to just really hear from him in a different way without distractions. Because it's been a journey. I moved up here from North Florida. I was accustomed to not having to pay to park anywhere. I was getting to where I needed to be in 10 or 15 minutes. So being here and commuting, it has taken a toll on me that I was on the verge of a breaking point, February of 2020. Home, and she said, go home and don't do anything. Put on your pajamas and don't do anything. And those were the instructions I took. That was February. March, when I packed up my office thinking I'm going home for spring break and maybe one extra week, and then this whole Corona thing is going to be over with and we're going to go back. This is what I thought. Next thing you know, okay, we're going to be home a little longer, do your telework agreement. And then we went into the fast. And then this was dropped in my spirit. And it probably could have been more authors, but a little bit of fear crept in. I was afraid to ask anyone else. So once I got, a certain number, I was like, okay, we're just gonna roll with it, So I was
But that just sets you up for volume 2.
and you know what? I've talked about that. I even made an advertisement about it. I put it out there for about a week or two, and then I panicked and pulled it back. And it's funny that you mentioned that because it's probably time to revisit that.
Because yeah, encounters with God. I mean, I just think that there's always a God encounter. Like
Yeah.
even the way in which Mika and I met, right? I mean, was a God encounter. Like sometimes, like I'm the first person to say, I don't know what made me say yes to that project. Mika and I met during an ebook project.
Okay.
And I ain't even never heard of a anthology ebook. But God used it. Why you laughing, Mika? Don't do that.
I didn't either.
I
had not either.
I mean, I had never even heard of that. But God, but what I am starting to see now is that God used that experience for just connection, for relate. It wasn't about the book. Right. I don't even remember what I wrote in that book. I don't even remember what the name of the book was because that wasn't the focal point. You remember?
Right.
I remember my title. I don't remember.
What was your title?
It was Having It All. Can You Have It All? The Balance.
See, I don't think that's coincidental. I think that is very, very divine. Yeah. Like, cause I feel like you're still working through that. Like you still want to go, right? Like, go back and find out what I wrote about and see if it's making sense.
Yeah.
But I say all that to say that was a God encounter. And like even on this journey that I've been on, like every time I would meet someone with like a similar testimony or I was able to just like it was all these God encounters that was happening, right? So God, like I think if you keep God in the room, you're going to encounter, you're going to have an encounter. I mean, I don't see any way out. Can you tell people
leave until I had one?
What's that?
I wouldn't want to leave until I had one.
Amen, amen, amen.
I'm not gonna let go till you bless me.
You ever travel somewhere for something? I traveled to Paris in 2012. It was a school trip. I went abroad. Listen, when we talk about like how things work out, I'll share that story another day. But it literally was not looking like it was gonna happen, and this was attached to me graduating. So the good thing that came out of it was I was able to go to Paris. You travel all that way, and I remember we almost didn't make it to the Eiffel Tower, and I was like, "Ain't no way." Ain't no way. I had a 7-hour turbulent flight with no sleep. It's been raining. We were there for 8 days and 7 nights. So this was on the 5th day. For 5 days straight, it was raining and or snowing. Okay.
What month did you go to Paris?
It was, I mean, that's just the time that the trip was. It was during our spring break. Okay. Yeah. And it was, we thought that wasn't the weather over here. Right? It wasn't the weather over here. Supposedly, like, they were in spring the way we were in spring, but apparently they spring differently. So anyway, whatever. It was a lot going on, and we almost missed the time window to see the Eiffel Tower. You have to reserve your tickets. And so, felt I got a taste of what this whole pandemic stuff is long before the pandemic. Just having to reserve stuff, to make sure we can accommodate people. And it rained the day that we went to see it. And if anybody has ever been to the Eiffel Tower, you understand that is not pleasant. It's all metal, right? And you're trekking your way on up there in the rain, and you're way up there in elevation. But the one thing that I said was I didn't come all this way to miss it. So if I get soaked, if I fall, whatever, I'm going. And I went, and that's how I felt. It was a lot of my classmates was like, "Hey, yeah, we'll be back." And I said, that's your privilege showing. I don't know when I'm gonna be back in Paris. My pockets aren't built like that. I'm taking
Right.
advantage of this student discount, and I'm going to see the Eiffel Tower. I went to
I
see
know
every
that's
other
right.
landmark there too. But that is absolutely how I feel about God, right? You can't. I'm not gonna be in the same room as you and leave without having an encounter. That doesn't even make
Yeah.
sense to me. That's like I would be mad at myself. Like I would be offended if I let that happen. I'm so serious.
Yeah. That's like one of my favorite stories, because it's like this teachable moment for us, is the road to Emmaus. And this is after the resurrection, when the two disciples are walking home, and they travel the road of Emmaus, and Jesus is walking with them, and they don't recognize Jesus. And how do you walk with Jesus for 7 miles and you invite him in and you don't recognize him until the breaking of the bread? And then he was gone. Right. And like, and what strikes me in that story, and why I don't want to be like them, right? Right, is the fact that they did all the talking. Right. And I'm just thinking, if I'm traveling with Jesus and I'm talking to, I'm not listening enough. If I'm doing all the talking, I'm not listening enough, because I need to hear a word from him.
Yes. That's right.
So that's my takeaway.
Mm.
This was good, friends.
Yes.
Did our visiting pastor tell us sometimes we need to shut up?
Yes.
I think last night, I gotta remember, because I have a new role at church for the audio visual team. Sometimes you're engrossed in doing your job, you miss some of those nuggets. But I'm almost sure he told us we need to not talk so much and listen.
I mean,
that was a part of it, but it is the truth. I've always kind of landed on that side. Sometimes people think that I can be talkative, but I'm also very observant, and for a reason. If you're talking, then you can't listen. You can't do them both at the same time. And when you're in a room, certain rooms, like, you want to listen. So I just be like, shh, we can talk later. Right now, I need you to not disturb me. And I'm very serious about my education. So I'll hush you in a minute.
So,
Guys, talking, be quiet.
Right.
I was the kid with the C in conduct, because I would be talking.
Well, I don't remember getting a C in conduct, but I was always talking too much, which now I talk for a living, so it all worked out.
Yeah.
I was always talking too much. I do want to shout out some people. Carlisha is always in the building. Thank you for watching. Stephen Smith Cobbs, thank you for watching. Doug, thank you for watching. Mika, thank you for watching. Jen, thank you for watching. Mika, we got 6 shows left. We end a little bit early this year.
I am excited to summer, but summer is, I don't want to say, but I need to be able to summer this summer, and it's looking a little bleak, but so I won't look that far out. I'll bring my gaze in a little more nearsighted. I'll do that.
We'll talk offline, because I want to know what makes you think it's bleak, because all things are possible.
Yes, they are. And before
I feel like I don't know how to spring break. I don't. Do you take Halo to spring break? Like, my kids came home Friday. It was like, so what are we doing? And I'm like, y'all watch too much Disney. I don't know, because
Shani, you live in the city though. Like, have y'all actually explored the city? All the museums.
Okay,
all of the things to do.
Their mother got problems.
No,
they need, because like, you gotta plan that, and it sounded good, right? And I came up with ideas after watching other people's Instagram, and I was like, "Oh, we could have did that. Ooh, that looked fun." Like we could have did like a little train ride to like Philly and did something. We could do something in our city because I used to be her.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be her, but
It's a lot
yeah,
to do.
it is. But I'm like, I don't spring break right.
That's
Mm-hmm.
okay.
We gotta work on that.
I'm gonna get my life back together. Sharon is local. Mika, you're local. Sharon, we didn't even get, okay, I know we are a little bit late, but I do want to talk about this marriage counseling because marriages need counseling. And can you just share like, don't, Mika, don't do that. Because, you know, I feel like when the Lord blesses me,
Mm-hmm.
I will be in somebody's counseling, not at year 5, but you know, on the way to the altar.
Here we go.
Like, I think you should get counseling. Mika, did you get premarital counseling? I'm all in your business. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we had 6, definitely 4, but I feel like 6.
Excellent, excellent. So the reason we're passionate about this is because we both have been married before, and did not have any form of counseling going into the first one. Fresh out of college, took my final exams, had a wedding rehearsal the next day, married the day after that.
Okay.
Wow.
The schedules just wouldn't, we couldn't figure out how to get it in because, you know, had some military stuff going on and me wrapping up my last semester. So we just didn't do it. And evidently we thought just being a cute couple on campus was enough to carry us. So having said that, coming into my second marriage, I told you my parents were deceased. I may have said that, I'm not sure, maybe I did not. But my brother's request and another family member was get marital counseling before you go into it. And it was, you know, my husband was perfectly fine with that. We were blessed.
See, that's because y'all was evenly yoked.
Bless God. Amen. Oh, and we studied for a month together. We studied purpose-driven life together for a month before we even met in person. But all that to say, we agreed and did our counseling. And before we got married, good to go. And because it gave us what we needed to come into this new relationship and blend our families, the Lord just started sending people to us, you know, even as newlyweds, to talk to us about relationships, about their relationships. And, you know, it's funny because here we are newlyweds with past experiences that we were able to encourage others, to inspire others, to help them dig into the things that they may not have thought about or just may have just done like we had done before and just went right into it without that basis. So my husband was already ordained at the time. I was a minister in training when I started my degree program in marriage and family counseling, you know, so between his experiences, mine, just putting it all together. And like I said, the Lord sending people our way. That's how we got into it. That's how we got there.
I want to rewind because I want to make sure people heard this. Y'all were both reading Purpose Driven Life before y'all had met?
So we met by email through a mutual friend. And then as we finally had conversation outside of email, actually talked on the phone, we came into December of 2004 deciding to study that together because my brother had just given me the book and I hadn't used it yet. So as he talked about, you know, what kind of devotionals are you doing, so on and so forth, I said, well, I got this book from my brother and I just hadn't used it yet. So we decided, okay, we'll go through Purpose Driven Life for the month of December. So we talk, read and so on and so forth. And by the time we met in person, we completed the book together.
Okay, so I don't know if I told y'all this because I always be talking about the homie. So so I met the homie during COVID, and it used to be funny because I was also writing my latest book when I met him, and so I would get my writing. I don't know. My downloads would come at like 12, 1 in the morning. Well, that would be the time where the homie would like to talk. He would like to start teaching. Now he had really good Bible study teachers back in the day. So he knows the Old Testament as if he went to like a Hebrew day school. Okay, like why are you laughing, Mika? Because he was naming people.
I know what that is.
He was naming people, and I was like, I'm sitting there like, I don't remember this story, right? He was, and I was like, so I'm like, he about to go in his teaching bag. But what I felt like it did, it laid the groundwork for it, like set the foundation of like this growing and blossoming relationship. And it's funny because it's the very thing I prayed for. Like I literally, I remember it was 2018. And so this is 2 years before I met him. And I prayed to God that I would meet somebody that had their own relationship with Jesus and that I didn't have to be their Sunday school teacher. Well, daggone it, I'm the daggone student. Like, so I you said, oh, we did this book together. I thought that was so awesome. I think that, like, all right, so before we go, how can people get in contact with you? I don't see anybody still live. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna just be promoting this book because I need to give this book away all week. So I am going to go on Instagram this week and give the book away at some point. So how can people get in contact with you, Sharon? I know you just dropped it in the chat.
Yes, I'm easy to find. My first and last name, SharonFinney.com. There's some information about all the books that I've either contributed to or my visionary project, Encounters with God, 10 Women, 10 Testimonies. I'm also on Instagram as author Sharon Finney, @author Sharon Finney, and that's my Facebook as well, my author Facebook page, author Sharon Finney.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And Mika, how can people get in contact with you?
Mika, Mika, fresh.com.
I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. I always enjoy speaking with you. Next week's guest is Anita Gold. Anita Gold will be our guest next week. We have 6 shows left. We are starting summer break on the official, Johnny, stop messing up words. On the official, our last show is May 30th. So they say Memorial Day weekend is the official start of summer. That's what we're gonna do because Mika gotta get her life together. I gotta get my life together. And we're just gonna start early because we got a book tour to do.
Yeah, how is the tour going, Shani?
The tour is going, you know, it's here. I've decided, God stayed in the room with me again. Another thing that came out of this week's Whisper is that, you know, I am gonna do my own conference, my own summit. I already set the date and I already put it out there because if I need that, like, I don't know what it is, but like that accountability, that like unspoken accountability, that I already put it out there. I already got the people that are going to be part of it. And I've already sent the email. So my ego won't let me say it's been canceled. So it's got to go. It's going to happen. Right. And the person that I got to help me plan it is not going to let me cancel. Okay. So it's like, that was all God too. Because, so, you know, it's one thing, and not for nothing, but when I realized around who I was playing small with, a lot of my quote unquote dreams never came to fruition because of who I told the dream to. That's a whole nother show. But when you speak, sometimes when you speak something in the atmosphere to the some people could say the wrong person or to the right person or to who God told you to say it to. Because God is always sending people, sending encounters to help you fulfill your mission. You're not going to do this by yourself, right? So that person is not going to let me say no, because when I was during my book signing last Sunday, not yesterday, but the first Sunday, and I kept saying, I said, I hope I'm not being extra. That's what I kept saying. I hope I'm not being extra. And my friend said, you have the right to be extra. This is a big deal. Yeah. This book is a big deal. You have a right to be extra. And when I told her that I wanted to do a conference, she didn't already got the daggone venue.
Okay.
So I'm like,
so
guys, it's like, so that is all about, it's all about everybody can go with you on this journey. That's what that taught me.
It's the truth anyhow.
The Sharing With Shani Show highlights ordinary people working for extraordinary God, sharing love, light, and life. We have 6 shows left. Next week's guest is Anita Gold. Thank you. God bless you, and peace.